My name is Schill. I'm a doctor of chiropractic here at Schill Chiropractic, and welcome to our office. We're located in Castleberry, Florida, right outside Orlando, and it's good to have you here. Thank you so much for watching this. Ever since I've been in practice for the last 30 years, I have taught an orientation class for all my new patients and prospective new patients to get more of an idea of what chiropractic is and how it can help you and your family with health as we go on through the years. Now, because of the recent scare with the COVID thing, our lobby is pretty much closed down right now, so we decided what we would do is do this video that you can play at your leisure at any time, so we still know what we do here and what your expectations are. So welcome to our office. Today's talk is it's just an overview about chiropractic and what you are going to expect. All right, so there's not a lot of detail here, but just kind of an overview. And if you have any questions afterwards, please feel free to call us at our office. Our office number is 407-788-7100. Okay. First, let's talk a little bit about chiropractic's history. Chiropractic was started in 1895 by a man by the name of D.D. Palmer in Davenport, Iowa. Very humble beginnings. And from that beginnings, chiropractic has become the third largest healthcare provider in the world. And it is also the largest natural healthcare provider in the world. We get results. And we base upon results on the science and the art of how the body works. No matter what you do for the rest of your life, no matter decisions that you make about your healthcare, I want you to look at it the way we look at it, and that is a triangle. This is called the triangle of health. There are three parts to our health that we need to stay balanced and keep it in good working order all our lives. The first part of the triangle is called our structure. Those are basically things that you can touch, your bones, your muscles, your nerves, and along those lines. The second part of our triangle is called the chemical part. This would have to do with nutrition, diet, drugs that we take, even things that might be floating around in the air that might affect our allergies and things like that. All right. The third side is our mental side, and that's where stress would hang out, our spiritual relationship with the Lord, and a bunch of other things. So when we look at healthcare, when we look at the patient, how we evaluate them, we evaluate the whole body from a natural standpoint. How is that triangle, and what do we need to do to get that triangle in balance? We're going to talk about the structure here for just a few minutes here. Most of you have probably come here because of something going on from a structural standpoint, whether it be low back pain, neck pain, and headaches, things like that. This is a model of a spine. It's not a real person, but it's a plastic model. This is the back of the head right here. The brain would sit up here. The brain goes through this hole, and it becomes the spinal cord. The spinal cord goes down your spine, and the spinal cord is what sends signals from your brain out through these nerves, and those nerves control all your muscles, all your organs, and all your glands, all of your life. So this signal has to maintain optimal function pretty much all our lives. And that is the fundamental part of the chiropractic treatment from a structural standpoint. If there's any interference of these nerves, then eventually there's going to be a problem, or what's called dis-ease, and we need to remove that interference. So what happens through life, just because of wear and tear, whether it be or stress or poor diet or whatever we're exposed to, the muscles slowly pull the vertebrae out of alignment, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. And the more that happens, the more it's going to interfere with that nerve. And this is where chiropractic comes in as far as the adjustment goes. The treatment for removing interference of the spine is called a chiropractic adjustment. A chiropractic adjustment is what we do with our hands to find where the vertebrae are out of alignment, and those are called subluxations, and then move the bone back in a better alignment again, so the nerve can then send the right signal from your brain out to that muscle and organ and back again. So the spinal adjustments is one of the key components of making sure the structured part of our triangle is balanced. The chemical part is a wide open field. I am a board certified nutritionist, and as this recording is happening, I'm in school for a second degree in functional medicine. So we're not going to talk a lot about that right now, but we'll do subsequent videos that will go more into detail. When you come in as a patient, there are going to be certain things that I'm going to need to do for you, but there's also going to be certain responsibilities that you're going to need to do also to help your care along, all right? Now, one of the things we'll be doing, one of the things you'll be doing is eating properly, okay? So I'm going to write down some foods. These are no foods. These are foods that we need to stay away from, okay? Sugar, corn, wheat, dairy, and foods that are like starches. And these foods mostly would be breads and pastas and things along those lines here. These foods increase inflammation in the body. They increase inflammation at the cell level. They increase inflammation on the nerves. They increase inflammation in the muscles and in the ligaments. So as we're trying to recover from what brought you in here, if you can keep these foods to a minimum, it would really help our progress by and large quite a bit. So I would like to, if there's anything you have that you need to make some changes on, do so. Now there may be some individual variances where you might be have a certain sensitivity to certain foods that maybe other people don't. But by and large, this is a list for most people to stay away from. So what kind of foods can we eat while we're recovering or for the rest of our lives? So these would be called yes foods. The first category are proteins. Okay? Most of us should not be vegetarians. There's probably some exceptions to that rule, but we do need a certain amount of animal proteins pretty much every day for those amino acids. So it's preferable a chicken, fish, and turkey would be very good to do on a regular or rotating basis here, all right? The second category is called complex carbohydrates. So we're gonna word it like this. Okay, a complex carbohydrate is a sugar that God put there. It wasn't altered by man. So that would be things like your fruits and your veggies along those categories. And the third category of food would be called essential fatty acids. These are good fats, okay? When we get into trouble with our health, it's not so much the fats that are going to be the problem, it's going to be the carbs, the simple carbs that man alters. Good fats would include things like nuts and grains and seeds, also fish, again, especially salmon and mackerel, orange roughy, are all good sources of essential fatty acids. We should note too that as we get older, and that just is a fact of life, the body requires more and more fatty acids and it makes less and less on its own. So one of the supplements that we want to take on a regular basis is essential fatty acids or fish oils, but they have to be coming from a very good company, not something that you would just buy like in a drugstore or a large chain or box store. So the type of supplement is going to be very, very important. So to summarize, part of the responsibility of balancing that triangle, the triangle of health, is to make sure we're eating the right kind of foods and staying away of the wrong kind of foods. Here at the office, we have a booklet that has different categories of foods to stay away from and different categories of foods to include. The foods that are included, there's a lot of them. It's not restricted in any way. Sometimes you might have to get used to eating a certain way, but we have that booklet available to you, and you're welcome to call our office, which I'll give at the end of the video again, for that copy. So again, in summary, there's structure, and there's chemical, and there's mental or spiritual, right? Now we're not going to get into the mental part too much, but I want to just say one thing about that, all right? One of the things that's going to affect the mental part of our triangle is fear. We talked about all the messages coming from the brain, okay? And this is, when we're being created, this is what forms first, is the brain and the spinal cord. When we live under a constant state of fear, throwing out the mental side of our triangle, there's a gland in here called the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland sends a signal to your adrenal glands, which are very small little glands that sit on top of the kidney. The pituitary gland then tells the adrenals to produce cortisol. You may have heard cortisol as being a stress hormone. Cortisol is not a bad hormone unless it gets way out of whack. Cortisol then goes to the brain and it delivers glucose to your brain to supply it with more energy that you depleted because of the stress. Now over time, the more and more fear we have, the more and more your brain dings that system through your adrenal glands. Your cortisols get way out of whack, you deliver more blood sugar to your system, and you just keep fatiguing it over and over and over again. So one of the things we need to address, if that's an issue with you, is that we need to get over the fear factor, because it's going to slow us down, it's going to increase inflammation in the body, and it's going to just really slow down our progress. All right, so very, very important. So when you come here for treatment, most of the time the treatment is, when symptoms occur, it adds up over a long period of time, right? So it takes a while to fix the problem. So what I'm going to show you is a timeline we would have as expectations of what you should expect as you get treatment here. So when you begin care under a chiropractic treatment plan, at the beginning here, you're most likely going to have to get adjusted more frequently, like 2 to 3 times a week. And that's to overcome the chronicity and the muscle memory that has been setting in over years and years and years. This is a timeline of treatment. This first phase, there's 3 phases by the way. The first phase is called initial intensive care, and there's little stars here, little asterisks. And you'll see that these stars are more close together. This means visit frequency. So at the beginning here, the adjustments are going to be more close together, so we can start the process of healing. So this first phase here, it basically is to get feeling better, some relief, reducing the inflammation, and increasing range of motion if that's the deal going on there. So we're not fixing anything here. All we're doing is just laying a foundation so the rest of the healing can occur. The second phase is called corrective. And in corrective phases, the adjustments get more and more spaced apart, and then you'll be doing more on your own, mostly as far as working out, whether it be stretching exercises, increasing your cardio, and plus eventually getting back into the weight room again. These are phases and these are exercises that I will guide you through. We usually individualize, especially the ones with the weights, we usually individualize that for the individual patients. So this corrective phase here is more for muscle and ligament strengthening, increasing function, and helping to deal with the rest of the symptoms that are going on. The last phase is called wellness or elective. This is maintenance. The whole purpose here is to keep your spine in a healthy position, to keep that triangle balanced for the rest of our lives. Working on that structure part, so it would help to keep yourself healthy as the years go on. This is a lifetime approach, and maintenance and wellness adjustment is usually once a month at that point in time. Looking at the structure side of the triangle, we want to keep that part of the triangle healthy for the rest of our lives. The longer the spine stays out of alignment, the more it's going to tend to cause a wearing of the bones and the disc between the vertebrae. So let me show you this chart. This is a study that was done back in the 1990s, and they classified the phases of degeneration from this study. Degeneration would include arthritis and you know, things along those lines here. This first picture here, this happens to be the neck in this case, but it applies to the whole spine. This phase is normal. The bones are square and smooth. There's plenty of dark space between each vertebra. Those dark spaces are the discs, okay? Now, this usually is in the early part of life. Now, over the years, that structure-sided triangle gets out of whack and gets out of balance, so the spine gets out of alignment. When the vertebrae get out of alignment, that term is called subluxation. Subluxations are just bones that come out of place due to wear and tear. Okay. Now, in this phase, these discs still look good, these dark spaces. The bones are still square and smooth, so there's not a lot of wearing yet. It's just the first phase is just where the vertebrae get out of alignment. Now, if the spine is left in this phase as we go through those ages, and we don't intervene with chiropractic adjustments, then we slip into a phase 2. Phase 2 is usually between 20 and 40 years of age. Here we begin to see where the bones start to form little sharp tips to them. And that is arthritis by definition. In addition to that, these spaces between the vertebrae start to wear down, and those are your disc spaces. I know you've probably known people who have had disc problems, or maybe you have yourself. That's a slow, gradual process. I should note here too that a lot of times a person might say, oh, I have arthritis. Maybe another doctor might say, well, you have arthritis. But if you don't have that, then you don't have at least this kind of arthritis, that osteoarthritis. So we can't just throw that term out there and just assume we have it. You have to investigate it. Now, if chiropractic adjustments don't begin here, eventually the spine goes into a phase 3 degeneration. And those phase 3 is where the discs get very, very narrow, and these spurs in here, they start to fuse, they touch together, and we get more and more limited mobility of that joint. If we don't intervene here, that slips into a phase 4. This is usually after 65 years of age, and the whole segment of the spine will then tend to fuse together. And frankly, at that stage, there's really not much to be done except preserve what's already there. So what we do is we find out what phase your spine is in, and then through maintenance or through prevention, if you will, through wellness, we can basically keep you at this phase. In fact, what the paper said in the conclusion is that you can slow down the degeneration, or you can stop it in its tracks. And we find clinically, after chiropractic being around for 100 years now, we find that you can pretty much stop it at where it's at. So that's really good news. So again, chiropractic is not just about, it's not pain management, it's about wellness, it's about balancing that triangle. Okay, I want to point you to our website, schillchiropractic.com, schillchiropractic.com. And feel free to browse everything. There's a lot of good information on here. I want to take you to New Patient Center, and then scroll down to 3D Spine Simulator, then go to Launch Simulator. And what you see here is the nerve distribution of your spine. So we'll click on, in the black there, we clicked on L5, that's in your lower back, and you'll see how those nerves travel down your leg from your lower back. So if you're having leg symptoms, you maybe start thinking lower back. Now keep in mind that this distribution here is not just pain. It can also include muscle weakness. It might be weakness that you may not even detect necessarily, because the nerve does not just cause pain. It tells muscles what to do, and it tells organs what to do. I want to go up to the very top of the spine, and that's C1. C1 is called the atlas, that's right at the base of the head. You could make a discussion out of the fact that may be the most important vertebra in your spine, because it's right at the base of the head. All the messages of your brain have to go through there to go everywhere else and then come back again through that. So many times when we're treating the spine, we have to include the atlas in that adjustment so that free expression of those nerves in your brain down to your periphery and back again or keep flowing and keep sending those messages on a regular basis. So have fun with the website. Again, there's a lot of good information. There's also charts that show what part of the spine influences what organs of the spine. So as we wrap up this orientation class, I just want to conclude with a couple of things. Chiropractic is whole body. It's not just pain management, it's whole body natural health care for a lifetime. It's for you and for your family. So ask yourselves as you go forward, how's my triangle? How's my structure? How's our chemical? And how's our mental part of our health? This is not, if you notice, there's nothing about pain or symptoms here. Pain or symptoms come on later on. Chiropractic is the foundation of natural health care to be able to treat the body from within and to be able to keep a very healthy lifestyle no matter what stage you're in, but also so it's an investment into your future. How you want to spend your elderly years. Do you want to spend it at a doctor's office all the time, or do you want to spend it on a golf course or playing with the grandchildren? So I want to conclude in a minute. I want to read from our Florida State statutes here. And I know it's kind of awkward to read, but I don't want to mess this up. So I want you to hear what our scope of practice is as defined by chiropractic law, all right? So it says this: chiropractic physicians may adjust, manipulate, or treat the human body by manual, mechanical, electrical, or natural methods by the use of physical means or physiotherapy, including light, heat, water, or exercise, or by using acupuncture, or by the administration of foods, food concentrates, which is nutritional supplements, food extracts, and items for which a prescription is not required and may apply first aid and hygiene. The scope of chiropractic is wide. It is not narrow. It's not limited just to adjusting spines. Utilize that healthcare. What's really interesting about this is that this statute was written in 1910. So it wasn't just written in the last few years. So our forefathers had the foresight to be able to look to the future and keep the scope of chiropractic wide. When you come in and you become a new patient, you'll get this folder, and on the folder there's information about chiropractic that we got, but then there's also going to be information about exercises and brochures on expectations of your care, so you're not really kept in the dark as you go forward here, right? So thank you for listening. Our biggest source of our business is referrals, so please share this with other people, and thank you for being here, and thank you for being under our care. Have a good day.